Welcome to Ramblings from the Little Shed, the coziest corner of the creative world where art, literature, and our beloved animal companions come together in conversation. Join us in the Little Shed where ideas flow freely and creativity thrives as we explore the profound ways animals influence and inspire our creative lives. I'm your host, Holly B. And in this episode, we chat with Cara Achterberg. Cara is the author of 8 books, including fiction, nonfiction, and memoir. She lives in Virginia with her husband, 2 dogs, 1 cat, and a rotating cast of foster dogs. Cara co-founded Who Will Let the Dogs Out, a nonprofit that raises awareness and resources for animal shelters. Hi, Cara. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Holly?
I'm pretty good. Thank you so much for being here. We had to reschedule and you were so gracious to accommodate me. But that means that Rogan, my co-host, is not here tonight. So boo-hoo, but that's okay. It's just you and me. We're going to have the best conversation for a Tuesday night on a snowy winter night here in Ontario. I don't know about where you are, what the weather's like.
It's actually warm. We've been in a deep freeze for a couple weeks, and today it's 50 degrees, and I think snow might finally start to melt, which would be awesome.
Oh gosh, we got hit hard today with snow. I mean,
Gosh.
I haven't seen snow like this since I was young.
Wow.
So yeah, we've been shoveling nonstop every day. We go from a deep freeze to snow back and
Ugh.
forth, but that's okay because I'm happy for the spring. There'll be lots of moisture in the ground and that'll be
Yeah.
good. And the snowmobilers are very happy. Cara, you are a very busy woman. I love all of the things that you're doing and I'm watching your socials and I listened to you on other podcasts and you are quite the advocate. Would you mind starting us off tonight and telling us about your pet, how they might influence your creativity?
I have my 2 dogs, Otis and Fanny, who are here. One of them is chewing on a Benny bone. Of course, he's ignored it all day, and then until we start recording, and now he's
Yeah.
chomping away. So Otis is 5 and Fanny is 7, and they are both rescues from a dog pound in Tennessee. And Otis is 70 pounds, and they're complete opposites. Well, actually, I should back up and say we got Fanny first,
Okay.
and she's just a really anxious dog. Like everything scares her, and that's partly because she came out of a really terrible dog pound. But um, she's a really special dog, very much attached to her. But until we adopted Otis, she would like we couldn't travel anywhere. She would throw up in the car. She was afraid to go anywhere on a walk other than like around our property. And then we got Otis. He was a puppy, Parvo survivor. I
Mm.
fostered his litter, and he was one of the survivors. And after losing 2 weeks of my life, I felt like to trying to save puppies and not succeeding in saving all of them. I just bonded with him and kept him. So I don't foster fail often, but that happened. So he ended up, anyway, he grew into becoming her emotional support dog. It wasn't really why
Oh,
we adopted him, but now
yeah.
if he's not with her, we can't really do much. But if he's with her, she'll go for walks. She rides in the car. She's like a totally different dog, but she is totally the boss of him, even though he's much bigger than she is.
I have 2 rescues, and one sounds very much like your Fanny with
Mhm.
all of the fears and won't go through doorways, cars.
Mhm.
We got him after our first dog in the hopes that he would mellow out the first dog, but now that you're mentioning it, if we don't have cash around, Sully's kind of lost, and Sully's the one with all of the anxieties.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, it was like a light bulb moment there when you said that Otis is Fanny's emotional support dog. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's funny because she's like, so she's terrified of people. So we used to not be able to go hardly anywhere because she would just go into absolute panic. And I would worry that
Yeah.
if she got loose, we'd never catch her. She'd be so terrified. But when she has him with her, she's fine. Now, the problem is that Otis is dog reactive. So I have like one dog, but he loves people. He loves people to an embarrassing amount. Like if he likes you a ton, he'd get so excited he might pee on you. It's terrible. But he
Yeah.
like walking around town, I was walking him today and he just drags me to people. He wants to say hello to everyone. But if there's a dog, it's another story altogether. So it's just
Yeah.
weird. We have these 3 dogs that have the one's afraid of people, one's afraid of dogs, but together they usually do pretty well. So they definitely have taught me so much. I feel like they influence my writing and all of my work. They definitely influenced my rescue work.
Yeah.
I know that both of those dogs would have died in a shelter had we not pulled them out. So, and I when I visit shelters now, I travel and I see dogs like Otis, and I know they don't make it out of shelters. It's pretty rare for
Right.
a dog that is, extremely. So they make me think hard about fixing the problem of too
Mhm.
many animals and not enough homes. And so they've definitely been an inspiration. But more than that, I always have foster dogs. I don't have any at the moment, which is so rare, and it's only because we're getting ready to go away on Saturday. But
Okay.
I always have foster dogs or puppies, and they are just the most incredible adventure. Doesn't matter who it is, like, there's so much material. I write so much about them, and they've really changed the course of my life. I was gonna be a novelist, I was on my way to doing that, I
Yeah.
was working away on my first book deal, and then I started fostering dogs, and then I started writing about dogs, and then I started telling the stories of my fosters, and it just took my life in a whole 'nother direction.
I mean, I feel like we're dog twins because my 2 dogs have the same temperament. Like what you said about, greeting people, great, but dogs, no.
Mhm.
Just everything, it very much mirrors the same situation I'm in. But I wanted to go back to the foster fails. So
Mhm.
yesterday, I went up to our SPCA. I was talking to her about I'm releasing a novel as well, and it's about rescue dogs,
They're
and so we
cool.
were chatting, and they had 1 puppy in there. And I felt like I was living a bookish moment because they handed me the puppy, and I was like, nope, I don't think you should do this." And that puppy, Lucas was his name, he melted into my whole body, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, how can I convince my husband?" And I know absolutely not, even though I called him right after, and I said, "Do you know what I did?" And I'll latch on to anything he says, right, like a hint of positivity, but how do you
Oh,
do it? Like, I would love to foster Lucas, but I don't know how I would let him go.
yeah. Some are harder than others, but at this point, and I have fostered now well over 300 dogs, puppies,
Wow.
and I actually want them to get out the door. And it just doesn't mean that I don't love them. I love all of them, and I love
Yeah.
getting updates. And in fact, I've been getting updates lately from this last litter that all went out the door at Christmas time. And um, but I think it has to do with the fact that I know how many dogs are in shelters. I know how many dogs don't get out
Okay.
of shelters alive. I know dogs like Fanny and Otis who like they are never going to get a chance. And so so I want them to get out the door because sooner they're out the door, the sooner I can bring another dog in, I could save another life. So the
Okay.
longer, when dogs stay with me for a long time, I do get more attached, but I also get anxious because I just think these are, every day it's fewer dogs that I can save as long
Yeah.
as they're taking up space there. And I find a way. I mean, I've had times where I always have a puppy room, so I always have puppy mama and puppies in there. But I also in my office used to just have 1 crate. Now I can fit 3 crates, and actually in a pinch, occasionally I have 4 crates. So it's just a lot of exercising for me, a lot of letting dogs in and
Yeah.
out all day long. But I don't know. I think that balances it out. And there's another thing, like when we were first doing it, and my kids had to say goodbye. That was a little bit, that was tricky. Sometimes they'd get attached to one or the other, and I remember sitting down with them and just, saying that, just point blank, if we don't give
Yep.
this one away, we can't save another. And
Hmm.
I also talked about what my mother has always said, because she is a person who's just served others all her life. And she has always said that, if you really care about something, you have to make sacrifice. So if you really, when we're little, if you really want that toy, right, you have to make a sacrifice. But it's true
Yes.
about too. Like if you are passionate about something and you want to make a difference and you really care, then you have to realize that you're going to sacrifice something. Maybe it's just money and time, but a lot of times it's part of your heart. And that's what it feels like to me. I mean, I definitely, there are some of my fosters that left that, gosh, I wish I could have kept them so many
Yeah.
times. But, I named my blog Another Good Dog because I know there's always another good dog. And
Mhm.
that's just what I tell myself. I'm going to let this one go because I know there's another good dog coming. So,
Well, that's what I needed to hear. I mean, and it's the second time I hear this, so from 2 women who are advocates, who are living that life of rescuing and visiting rescue shelters. And so you're right. I mean, I feel almost like it's a bit selfish to want to hang on, and so it makes me think about that. And I'll think on it a lot deeper now too. I'll still try to convince my husband if we can foster him, but little Lucas, oh
There's
my
another
goodness.
point somebody made to me once, which is, um, I my home isn't the only home this dog can thrive in. Like, if
Oh,
ever there's a dog that comes, like my 2, they couldn't thrive anywhere else. They needed us and what we understand and how we'll make modifications to whatever. We'll change things. We are planning this whole vacation. We're taking them with us, which is a little scary, but we plan the whole thing around them and what they can and
yeah,
can't do. And so that's why they're with me. But I would say that I've had some amazing dogs this year, but every one of them, I know could thrive in another home. And that
yeah,
you have to remind yourself there's lots of good homes out there. So you
that's
just got to
right.
find the right one.
So how do Otis and Fanny react each time? Like, they must be so used to having other dogs coming in and out that is it second nature to them or
Well, they actually don't interact with them at all anymore. I used to bring the foster dogs in the house, but it's too stressful for Otis. And
okay.
the change and the commotion is hard on Fanny. She needs her routine. She needs a calm. And we have a little cottage behind our house, so we renovated it. We gutted it. It's 140 years old, so it was quite a challenge. You never knew what you were going to find. We found some really
Yeah.
interesting things in the walls and under the floors.
I'm sure.
But we renovated that cottage for myself. I mean, someday it could be a in-law suite or whatever because it's bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, living room. So the bedroom is very tiny, but that's where the puppy room is. Then I have a kitchen, which is where the cat hangs out, my foster field cat, and then the office. So they don't ever, and they have their own separate fenced. There's a
Okay.
privacy fence between their yard and the puppy. I mean, the foster yard's very small because most of them can't handle a big space right from the beginning. And
Right.
our dogs have a big acre and a half yard to run in, so they don't interact with them at all. I mean, they know they're there,
Right.
but for the
Yeah,
most
of
part,
course.
they ignore them. Every now and again, there'll be one foster dog that will engage them at the gate because they can see a little tiny piece of each
Mhm.
other through, and they'll have like a little yelling match at the gate. But that's about it. So yeah, they're used to sharing me. They do wait right outside the cottage door because they can get to one side, and they will usually wait there for me in the afternoon.
Well, it's all very well organized and a well-run ship.
Yeah, it's taken us a long time to get there. People are always like, "I wish I had a foster cottage," and I say, I didn't have one when I started. The dogs were
Yeah.
underfoot in the house for the first 10 years, so,
Yeah.
this evolved, and it works better. It's been better for my dogs, so and
Well, it
also better
sounds
for my
amazing.
relationship with my husband because I don't have all these dogs in the house and the smell
True.
of puppies. Ugh, they're horrible.
Yes. Yes, yes, very true. Yeah. So let's shift over to Kara and who she is and all of the wonderful things that you're doing for us fellow humans and, of course, the animals. What's keeping you more busy than
Oh
I'm sure you
gosh.
have so many different
Yeah. Well,
priorities.
oh, wow, yeah. I mean, who let the dogs out? Who will let the dogs out? The nonprofit that I run is obviously keeps me super busy.
Yes.
Um,
Like
but I'm
on a full-time basis? That's your
uh,
full-time
it feels like it. I mean, it's not a paid position. We are all volunteers. And every
wow.
time someone talks about like growing our organization or hiring an executive director, I just say, that's not what we're here for. We are not here to build an organization. We're here to fix a problem. I don't want to be
Mhm,
doing this in 10 years. Our
mhm.
mission is to raise awareness and resources for shelters, basically.
Right.
Um, and we've made over 200 visits to shelters and we know a lot. And I do like every week, I have a couple of phone consultations where I just talk to shelter staff or whoever and talk through their issues. And because we've seen so many things that we
Mm,
usually can offer some ideas and some help. Or if not, we'll go and visit. We go and visit, still go and visit on shelter tours. But
hmm.
I'm trying to put some parameters around it just because my writing career is I miss it. I miss writing
Yes.
stories. It's as you know, the publishing world is so hard right now, and if you can't be 100% in, it's not I would not call it a career for me anymore just because I'm not writing at the level I once did. I'm not putting out a novel every year. I'm not doing book tours or book signings, or I just don't have the time for it. So I had to think about it in a different way, and so I have. I've kind of reimagined it and spent, a lot of time trying to say, okay, this block is for Who Will Let the Dogs Out, but now this is time for me in my writing and what I'm working on. And so I created a journal that I started working on my own. I kept buying journals, the little journals that have like you tracking this and that and what, like there's
Yes.
so many out there, like motivational or time management, and I kept buying them, and then I would, like, scratch out titles and change them, and after a while, I was like, "Why am I buying these journals?" And then just drawing in what I want, so I designed my own and tweaked it and tweaked it and tweaked it, and have messed around with it, and I finally, invited through my newsletter people to try it out. I said, "I just want some beta testers to try out my journal page," and 11 people took me up on the offer, and they loved it. The universal feedback was they loved it. It helped them in lots of ways in terms of because it touches on a lot of things like relationship. My to-do lists are want to do, should do, and how you what your day is like, and what you want to do, should do, and do. There's very little you have to do,
Yeah.
right? And so it helps prioritize. And there's a lot of other things in there too, because I feel really strongly about taking care of your own health and
Hmm.
that has to be intentional. I mean, my very first book was called Live Intentionally, and I still am very intentional, and I still believe that we all need to live intentionally. So the journal is called Live Intentionally.
Those beta testers were like,
Mhm.
"Yes, give it all to me," and they probably connected with it
Yeah.
because they have
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And they had ideas, they had things that, they liked or didn't like, they wanted me to tweak, but overall, they all felt like it really made a difference, and that's what I was
Mm.
after, like, it help you,
Mhm.
spend 10 minutes in the morning to really think through your day and what your intentions are for this day, and, where your priority is gonna be, and who you're gonna touch base with, because people have to stay in there. We sometimes push that aside and make them the last thing, and they're their most important thing, and so
Yeah.
it's been really cool to do it. I'm working with a book designer who I love. She was the one that designed the cover for Who Will Let the Dogs Out, and we had worked with her. That's how I met her. She designed that cover, so I reached out to her independent of all of that and hired her to work with me on redesign because my template's pretty. I did it on Canva, and I'm not an artist, so
Right.
I needed somebody to make it look cool. And then I wrote a lot of motivational essays and collected quotes and kind of mixed those in there
Wow.
too and added some other elements, and I'm really excited about it. And Dana is working on it, and, I'm hoping it'll be ready to go by the end of March. We'll see. It's such a
Okay.
different project from anything I've done, and
Yeah.
I'm excited for people to use it and for it to help them, and, so that one's taken my time, but I've had to really set it aside, I've had to really
Yeah.
guard the time to work on it because otherwise, the dogs, the nonprofit, I have a rental business. It's too busy, it's too much, and
Yeah.
yeah,
But it's
just had to
almost part of your self-care plan, right? And I wanna see that journal, and I would like to purchase one too because it sounds amazing, and that's super exciting. It's almost like a collage of all of the things that you love
It is,
coming
it really
together.
is. It's a culmination in that. I was
Yeah.
working on my newsletter, it comes out this weekend, I was trying to explain it and just saying, I feel like I've been working on this project kind of like in a cocoon for at least probably a year and a half of, just tweaking it and
Oh,
never
wow.
not imagining I was gonna give it to other people. I was just trying to make it work for me.
Mhm.
And then at some point I shifted to, wow, I wonder if other people would want this also.
Mhm.
And then I took the feedback from the beta testers and I've adjusted it more. And it's been really kind of a labor of love, but excited. It's something very different. And I've never had to market my own book. I'm a traditionally published author. So this one's on my own. Is, and it's also, I don't even know who you sent, like it's not with
Yeah.
typical readers, but so we'll see. Hopefully it catches on and people like it and tell other people and we'll see.
Do you have, like, a book portion in there by any chance?
I
Like,
do.
for
Of course.
see? Already. I'm curious. I think you're gonna capture a whole different audience. When you do the tours to the shelters,
Mhm.
are you traveling across a lot of the states, or are you staying fairly local, or
We have been to 16 states. We
wow.
just completed a tour, and I saw the numbers, had them on our socials. I wanna say we went 1,800 miles, something like that.
Hmm.
We drove all the ways down to Florida, which was the furthest we went, although this next tour coming up in April, we're staying, I feel like a little bit closer because 'cause we're staying kind of in the Midwest, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, uh, West Virginia, Kentucky. and I'm in
Okay.
Virginia, so kind of like that
Yeah.
little middle. But it's mostly southeastern states, although last year we did go up into New England a little bit. We were trying to
Mhm.
see what happens on the other end of rescue, the shelters that pull or the rescues that pull from the southern shelters. We were trying to learn that end of it, so we did go up a bit up into upstate New York. So we were learning more, but yeah, it's a lot of traveling. Luckily, Nancy, the photographer who travels with me, she and I just we travel really we both say every time, "I could never do this with anybody else." Like, just we
Mm,
just do fine together. We give each other
yeah,
space and
yeah.
respect, and I think that's a big part of it. We each do our own thing.
You have a great partnership. I mean, I
Mhm.
know where the bulk of our dogs come from as far
Mhm.
as, abandoned dogs, but what does that look like where you are? For us, it's always north, but what does that look like for you? What is it puppy mills? Is it I'm not
Oh
fully
gosh.
grasping where they
Well,
all come from.
so when I first started doing this, the first time I went to the shelters was 2018, and, it was different. It was definitely, just strays, unwanted litters,
Mm,
um, occasional, like, owner surrenders or bite cases or those kinds of things. And it was sort of just a mix. And
mhm,
since the pandemic, it's puppy mills are just through the roof because they really ramped up during the pandemic. So there's a
mm,
ton of that. And a lot of people who started backyard breeders who started breeding during the pandemic did not stop, but the market was gone. So we go to shelters. We hardly used to ever see puppies in shelters. Every shelter we go to now has litters and litters of puppies. We never used to see
um,
that because they used
okay,
to get pulled by rescue. There just weren't that many, but the rescues are overwhelmed. So
yeah,
there's that ton of owner surrenders. A lot of people, because of housing restrictions, because of
yeah,
insurance issues, because of economics, you
mhm,
name it. There's a lot of owner surrenders. But the biggest thing, and every time I say this, and people don't want to hear this, but is there's so much pressure on shelters, at least in the United States, to be no kill shelters.
yes,
And that pressure is unreasonable.
mhm,
We give these people an impossible task and not enough resources, and then we bash them if they can't do it. So what's happened
mhm,
is, and it's been promoted by some of the larger animal welfare organizations, is that a lot of these municipal shelters, they do quote unquote managed intake, meaning they don't take every animal brought to them. And the impetus is that you're going to put this back on the people. The people it's their fault. But the problem is that most people who come to a shelter, most of them don't want to give up their dog necessarily, but there are reasons why they have to. And if you back them into a corner or you flat out tell them no, they abandon those dogs. Those dogs end up
yeah,
stray. So all over the US right now, the stray populations are exploding. I have a couple of things I watch on, Google Alert, and I see them and I see it happening everywhere, where the stray populations have gotten so out of control that they're dangerous. There's more bites, there's more dog attacks,
yeah,
there's more loose dogs running. And that makes sense because 80% of animals coming into a shelter are not spayed or neutered. So if you're
yeah,
turning away a large number of animals, which they are, um, that number is gonna go up fast. The
yeah,
stray is gonna go up fast. And the frustration for me is that the national narrative isn't seeing that. They're just saying, there's a lot of places. In fact, the numbers that were just released last week about 2025 said that intakes they've had a couple, humane societies that have kind of managed things. It is so out of control numbers of stray dogs and people wanting to surrender pets in Vermont that they hired someone to come in and design an animal welfare system for them. Okay.
oh,
And her ideas are phenomenal. I'm so excited to see where that goes. But that just says something, it's like a canary in the coal mine there. Like Vermont
yeah,
needs help. Vermont has a problem. Well, just imagine what it's like in South Texas, or
mhm.
Mississippi or wherever. It's just, now the numbers they're astronomical, but I would say the stray population is what we all have to come in terms with eventually.
Happens in all of the states or in Europe or whatever
Yeah,
country it is. So it's very interesting to hear that. I've heard of no-kill shelters, obviously, but to stay for 4, 7, 11 years.
that's great.
There's been this shift in how we are treating our animals, like our dogs or cats or whatever pets, like we're glorifying it a lot on
Are.
social media, and so, my novel is about they're my 2 dogs. And so I feel like sometimes I'm making light of some of the situations, but Cash has a lot of behavioral issues. But I'm also a responsible owner who, I've tried all of the different modalities to try and help him.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, he's a dog and I can't just let him be aggressive or over assertive. So I just feel like the way we're treating animals now is very different than how we treated them before. I'm not saying that it's not great that they're part of our families. I love them.
Yeah.
They are my family. But, right, it just
Yeah.
comes back to this humane way of dealing with some of these situations.
And you sounds like you like me, you have to manage your dog. Like, I manage my dogs,
I do.
and I
Yeah.
know they couldn't do this. There's a lot of people who wouldn't do what I do, and that's fine.
Yep.
But people need to so many more people have dogs now than they used to, and we're living closer
Yes.
together, and so there's gonna be conflict, and you if you adopt an animal, you're responsible for that animal. You're responsible for them, and it's up to you to keep everyone around you safe, and if you
Yep.
can't do that, then, that's a lot of times when the animals end up in a shelter, and that's not fair to that animal at all. So,
No.
yeah, we do treat it differently. I mean, they're so much fun.
So do
Yeah.
you spend time in the cottage and write? Like, is that a creating space for you? Or is it just the
Yeah.
puppy space at this point?
It should be. My office is in there. I do a lot of who will let the dogs out work. In fact, I've been thinking lately about how I need to carve out a space in the house where I can go in and be with my dogs and just write instead of
Mhm.
being always with the foster dogs. I
Right.
feel like this year I got overloaded just because there were just too many situations that I couldn't say no to, and I'm gonna be
Right.
better about it in the next year, I hope.
Yeah.
Um, Mostly because I ended up spending all my day out there, and I don't wanna spend my whole day away from my dogs. It's okay. I mean, I
Yeah.
know a lot of people go to work, and that's what I am. I'm going to work, and I see them at lunchtime, and so that's better than a lot of people get with their animals, but, I'm a writer. I should be able to write in different places, and it is hard to write in a foster cottage. There's usually a whining puppy or 2. There's usually a dog who's in a crate and one that's out of a crate, and the other one that's in, one's out, and it's
Yeah.
distracting. It's hard to really focus and think, and I've been thinking about that a lot. Working on the journal and writing the essays that are in the journal has made me think I need to prioritize that, and I need to find another way to do it.
A favorite coffee shop, or I don't know how close you are in proximity to, like, a small town or city, but do you do you have a group? Do you have a group of writing friends, or
I
do
do
you
have a
write
group of
alone?
writing friends, but we don't actually write together. We just share
Okay.
ideas, and
Yeah.
we meet periodically, and they're wonderful supports, and I adore them. Um, so I was already thinking about that. There is a coffee shop about 8 miles from me, and I used to love working in coffee shops, so I'm gonna try it. My worry is, I'm hoping they're far enough along on their roof that Fanny can be okay at the house, even though there's strangers walking all around and
Right.
climbing ladders, but, I'm hoping to do that.
Huh. So do you write every single day? You've been working on the journal from what
Mhm.
I've heard you say, but do you write every single day?
I write something. Sometimes it's for Who Let the Dogs Out, it's for one of my blogs, it's
Right.
rarely ever my novel, but I do, I really feel like that, I teach creative writing and I teach writing in different forms, and, I always tell people it's a muscle, and if you don't exercise
Yep.
it, you're gonna lose it, and it doesn't matter if you're writing for other people or not. I think blogs are a great way to force yourself to
Mhm.
use your writing muscles
Mhm.
because we may only have 5 readers, but someone else is gonna read that, what you're writing, and so it forces you to level up a little bit. But I do think they're muscles and they atrophy, and if you aren't using them every day, they're gonna. I'm not a, like, you have to write 500 words or you have to write this or that, but I
Yeah.
definitely write something, whether it's
Yeah.
just in my journal or whether it's a blog post or whether it's one of my writing projects or the memoir I'm working on, it's something every day.
Well, you have a very busy life, and
Mhm.
yet you still find time to do that, to be creative. Finding that balance, I think, for people is the struggle, especially
Oh,
when
yeah.
they're just starting out writing. I mean, I work full time, so the playtime comes after work, and, by 7:30, 8 o'clock,
Yeah.
I'm tired. But I think that a lot of people just struggle finding that balance, and if you're a creature of habit, you like a routine, maybe that's the way to
Mhm.
go. But I like that, just something every day, whether
Yep.
it's in writing or just a creative, I was sitting here when I was waiting for you to enter the room, I was knitting, and it's easy to
Yeah.
pick up and just put it down, and I notice
Yeah.
that when I'm knitting, I'm just then my thoughts start to flow.
Mhm.
That's just it's a
Exactly.
meditation for me, right?
Yeah, it's exactly right. I think reading is the same way. Like I get and I've always been like that. And
Mhm,
I read for about an hour and a half every morning. And I read a lot of different things. I have at least 4 books drawn at a time. I read a little bit of each one. There are different genres, there are different whatevers.
mhm,
Um, and I feel like that's so critical to
mhm.
being able to write. And I think the more
Yeah,
you read, the more you want to write, the more you're inspired to
yeah,
write. That will propel me right into work is the reading. And I will just open up a journal and start writing thoughts. Or I'll even open
yeah,
a note on my phone and start writing thoughts, just stuff I want to remember, or I want,
yeah,
or I'll email myself an idea for an essay or an idea for a blog post. It really triggers a lot. I mean, doing that and then doing my intentional journal in the morning, it's just it sets the tone, and then you just gotta
mhm.
find the time. Again, it comes back to if you're really passionate about something, you make
You will
sacrifices.
find the time. Yeah,
Yeah, and we'll do it. So it's true about pretty much everything that matters. So I was just waking up wide awake, and I would lay
yeah,
there thinking and thinking and having weird dreams,
yeah,
and finally I was like, "I'm just gonna get up." And so there
yes,
are days it's 4 o'clock, 4:10, but usually it's 4:30. That's generally the
yeah.
time.
Oh, I love the idea of that, of waking up and reading, because I'm up anyways. So,
Mhm.
and you're right. I also get very much inspired by a title, the work of
Mhm.
someone else. Maybe it's a photo, maybe it's a poem.
I'm not a poet, and I never run and I still don't even know what makes a poem a poem. But I
Mhm.
got a really cool anthology of poetry, contemporary poetry, and it's been really interesting to read. It's like they're all paired with a cause, and
Oh,
that's been
nice.
really interesting to read. And I'm really enjoying the poetry. I don't still don't know what makes a poem, but I'm fascinated by phrases and the way people say stuff. So a lot of
Yeah.
highlighting and underlining, and which I do in all my books. But it's
So
cool.
would you mind sharing with us what you're reading? Like, what's your favorite, read right now? Oh, yeah.
The poetry
Yeah.
thing I'm reading right now is so good. I'm gonna tell you what it is because I record everything on Goodreads. I'm addicted,
Oh,
and it's
yes,
such
me
a
too.
great way
Love
to keep
Goodreads.
track of what
It
I'm
is.
reading. And so the one it's called We Will Be Shelter, and it's an anthology by Andrea Gibson, and it is wonderful. And that's the poetry anthology that I'm really enjoying.
Okay.
And then I just finished something really, really good. I'm also reading a couple books. So I'm on NetGalley. Do you do NetGalley? So I'm reading a lot of
No,
stuff
I
that's not out yet, but it's gonna be out. But it's when you read a lot of books, it's a way to get them for free. But you're getting to if you review, which I review everything I read, if I like it, I will
uh-huh.
put a book down. If I don't love it, I put it down. So if I
Yep,
reviewed it,
yep.
it's at least a 4 or 5 stars. So anyway, I get a ton of books that way, and now that I'm a regular reviewer, publishers give them to me in a second, which is cool. So
Oh,
like Julia Cameron has a new book coming out. I'm getting ready to start that one. I haven't started it yet.
Julia
Um,
Cameron.
mhm. I know.
Wow. That's
I
great.
know. And I'm
We're all
reading
gonna be lining up around the block for that one.
I know. I'm reading a couple other good books for writers that are both coming out soon, but they're not out yet. I wanna see what I read so I love, what is Stephanie Land, so I've read all of her stuff. I love her stuff. There's another writer, Brianna Medea, who writes about dogs, of course, and their memoirs, and
Okay.
she has 3, and I just got to read her newest one, which is called Homesick Nomad. But she has 2 others out, and Never Leave the Dogs Behind is, one that is I think that's one of them's on Kindle Unlimited, which I also have, so I read a lot of
Okay.
Kindle
Well, you'll know
Unlimited.
I'll be checking that one out.
But hers are really good, and then, this book that is coming out, this is probably the best novel I've read by a new author in years, and it's called A Good Animal, and it's by Sarah Maurer, and well, I don't know when it comes out. Maybe it tells me here. Oh, it comes out the 24th of this month.
Ooh, okay.
It's phenomenal. Now I listen to that one. I listen to a lot of books too when
Mhm.
I'm walking dogs or driving
Yes.
dogs, and I
Yeah.
listened to that, and the reader was great, but the writing is exquisite. Like, I would like to
Uh,
get a hard copy and read it, because it's just
huh.
really, really well done. So
I just finished a book. So Cara Infante, she has Bookish Flights and she does a book club every month. And she records it and it's a book club.
Yeah.
So we'll show up, we'll all be on screen and she has the author there.
Oh,
They'll have their little talkie talk and then we are welcome to ask questions. And
yeah.
I've been going for months and I'm really enjoying it. I can't remember what state she's in, but I'm the only Canadian in there and that's fun too.
Yeah.
And the latest book is called The Road to Tender Hearts by Annie Hartnett. She did
Oh,
Likely
sounds
Animals,
familiar.
I believe.
Okay, okay, I knew that name sounded familiar.
What I do is I read the book first, then I go
Mhm.
listen to a preview to see if it's gonna hook me.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, you had me at Pancakes the cat, right? So, because I thought, "Oh, is this book gonna be about this cat that can think?" And
yeah.
it isn't, but he does get woven through the book. But like you said about, A Good Animal, this book has me. I went out and bought the
Yeah.
hardback because I just love it so much. I cannot wait for tonight. It's free too, by the way. I
Wow.
can't wait.
I feel like they don't come on as they used to. And I read a lot of memoir, and because I write memoir, I read a lot of memoir, and I read a lot of nonfiction. I don't read as much fiction, so it's just a joy to find this. I've listened to a couple of other good ones, but that one it's just so cool when something comes along like that. Somebody lives it.
Yes. And then you can share it because now I've made my list. For me, there's nothing quite like listening to nonfiction or memoir
Mhm.
because it's usually, well, sometimes it's by the author themselves. And so
Yeah.
that really makes it special.
Yeah, I got to
Yeah.
read one of mine. It was fun.
Oh,
I
that's
don't
a
know what
whole other slew of questions because I haven't tapped into the audio book for my novel. I feel like it might just be too
Mhm.
costly.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. No, this was one of the memoirs, and the publisher didn't.
oh,
I had to audition and everything because they don't generally let authors read their own books, and
right,
a
right.
lot of publishers won't.
I don't know.
Yeah.
For me, it's the way to go because
Yeah,
you can hear it in their voice. You can
yeah,
hear their story, right? Instead of
yeah,
just listening and reading, like you can feel it.
yeah,
So,
and they say
but
everything
that's just
crinkles.
me.
Well, the
Yeah.
woman who wrote, gosh, I'm blanking on her name, Braiding Sweetgrass, Kimmerer.
Yes. Yeah. I know the
She
book. Yeah.
reads her book, and it is so amazing. I just wanna listen to it over and over and over again.
Mhm.
She has just the most
Mhm.
nurturing sound to her, and
Mhm.
the book's exquisite, and I know she has a new book out, and I wanna get it, but I wanna get an audio because I
Oh,
just
I
wanna
didn't
hear
know. See, learn something new again. I didn't know she had a new book out. There are so many books in so little time.
Yes,
And
exactly, exactly.
well, I am super grateful for your time. Do you have any other hobbies
No,
before
no.
I let you go? Or I mean, you
Clean
have
my
enough
kitchen.
on your plate, but
I have enough on my plate. I keep wanting my husband tried to get me to go to Tai Chi with him. He started Tai Chi, and I was like, "No, no."
sounds like you have a very fulfilling life. You're very generous with your time, and thank goodness for for you. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't even know you that well, but I can tell that I would love to just hang out and have coffee with you and hang out in the
Same,
cottage. It's kind of
same,
like
right?
my cottage here. This
Look
is
at the
where
cottage.
I hang out.
Cottage is really smelly though. We can go for a hike.
Yeah.
I live in a valley of Virginia, and I'm
Mm.
surrounded by beautiful mountains. You get to watch sunrise every day, and
Oh,
I think that has such an impact on, every day. I feel
yeah.
blessed, but I think that, I'm super busy. I say that all the time, but it's all good busy. I'm not doing anything. I'm
Yeah,
not busy doing anything I don't want to be doing. So
that's right.
will complain. I will not complain.
No. I mean, do you ever have people who say like, "Gosh, haven't you taken on enough?" or "Don't you do enough?
Oh
Aren't you
yeah,
busy?" And I just look at them and go, "I wanna do it all." You
exactly.
know?
I had this conversation yesterday afternoon with my husband because I told him I wanted to start having writing retreats in one of these houses that we have, and
Mhm.
he's like, "What? You can't do one more thing." I'm like,
Sure you
"Why
can.
not? It feeds my soul."
That's right. And I'll be
Mhm.
there for the retreat too.
Good.
Well, thank you very much, Kara. I can't wait to keep following your blog as I do, but I can't wait to see when your journal comes out. That's gonna be very exciting and
Yeah, I'm hoping
whole
end
new
of
experience.
March. We'll see. She
Okay.
went back to the drawing board on the cover. I didn't like the first
Oh,
effort, so
okay.
we're at that point. But hopefully, yes.
Cover's important. It's what
They
gets that
are.
first it's that
I know
spark.
it. It's critical. It's critical.
Yeah.
I will send you a copy when we finally get them.
Oh, well, thank you for spending time with me, and please come back anytime. And if you
Yeah.
ever need anything, send it my way, and I'll share as much as I can too, because you are doing amazing work.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed
Yeah,
this. It was a nice,
good.
nice way to finish my day.
Oh, I'm very happy about that. And Rogan, you missed out. All right, I will chat with you soon.